That was definitely a lot to keep track of. A tournament of champions that almost lasted a month. That was fun. Congratulations to Amy, and we'll see Cris Pannullo play again tomorrow. I almost said Monday. I hope you enjoyed those videos I put out. It was certainly fun to keep track of those two tournaments that lasted more than a month. We haven't seen Cris in exactly 39 days. Cris Pannullo returned for his 12th game on Jeopardy after what was essentially a long hiatus and the longest since Matt Amodio's gap, and that was only because the season ended. He won an 11-day total of $356,702. I miss saying that. Obligatory thumbs up. Let's recap. Now that the Second Chance tournament and the Tournament of Champions are over, and we see the return of 11-day champion Cris Pannullo, I wanted to give you highlights. Cris' streak began after defeating 4-day champion David Sibley. We already have back-to-back qualifiers for next year's Tournament of Champions as of now. The Tournament of Champions contestants next year so far will be Luigi de Guzman, David Sibley, and Cris Pannullo. Cris' highest score going to Final Jeopardy was $44,600 on his 7th game and won $59,821, his highest single-day total so far. Cris also holds the record for the highest non-runaway score at $37,400 since Mike Elliott scored $26,800. $26,800 is also just $200 behind the second highest place score going into Final Jeopardy. And Mike scored that much because he bet all $11,600 on a daily double, which is also the highest of a daily double in season 39, not counting tournaments. Out of the 33 daily doubles in Cris' 11 games, he found 26 of them and only missed 4 of them. His very last game before the tournament was a back-to-back daily double, the first time since Erica Hostek's 3rd game. Ken Jennings' instruction was, "It's been such an exciting few weeks for us here on Jeopardy, starting out with our first Second Chance competition, and then moving right along to a thrilling Tournament of Champions, which ended with Amy Schneider defeating Andrew He and Sam Buttery in a 6-game knockout final. Now as we head back to regular Jeopardy, we find ourselves in the midst of an impressive run by 11-game champion Cris Pannullo. The last time Cris was behind that podium, he had one of his most successful outings yet. 36 correct responses, and that's a personal best for you, Cris, at his 9th runaway game. Season 39 is certainly not disappointing so far. Soccer's World Cup in the 21st century. I like how right after the Tournament of Champions, there's a category of what's essentially as important to soccer fans as it is to Jeopardy fans. And Soccer's World Cup. That implies that the World Cup is in other sports as well. Who lives in a pineapple? Ken said you might know where this is going. And Under the Sea. Well, whenever I specifically hear Under the Sea, I think of The Little Mermaid. Now, not knowing when the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions would officially come to an end, I wonder how conscious of a decision this actually was when corresponding to an estimated air date, because Who Lives in a Pineapple Under the Sea came up in 3 different categories and aired 4 days before the 4-year anniversary of Stephen Hillenburg's death, the creator of SpongeBob. Seeing the 2 tournaments and the ongoing reign of Cris, I had to cancel what I originally planned for around this time of year. I wanted to commemorate Stan Lee and Stephen Hillenburg since they both died in November 2018. I didn't even know I'd have this much to say about just the categories alone. Etienne expects to live a long life because both her grandmothers are centenarian. I'm scared. David is a male model. Ken said, immediately as I suspected when introducing him as a male model in the anecdote. Nice. Ken reminded us of Cris's $221 wager. Cris just told us it was his girlfriend's birthday, February 21st, and she was confused when she first saw it. This would mean Cris already saw his tapings air in real time. All 3 contestants got a daily double. David got the first daily double, weighted $2,600. Unfortunately, entered wrong and went down to $2,800. David ended the first round winning $4,400. Etienne was in 3rd place at $1,200, and Cris was in the lead at $8,800, exactly twice David's score. Raised in a president frequently hopped up on Venom, this masked enemy broke Batman's back in a 1990s story arc. After Cris answered, "Who is Bane?" Ken said, "Correct," as seen here.
Cris, who is Bane?
Correct.
Etienne got the first daily double. She made it a true daily double, got it right, and went to $4,800. Cris got the second daily double in Double Jeopardy, weighted at $5,000, and the question was obvious. King John okays the Magna Carta. King John appeals the Pope against the Magna Carta. King John has a year left to live. What is 1215? That took in at $22,200. Cris now found 27 of the 36 daily doubles and got 23 of them correctly. I also tried to do a video on the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta. The 6-Day War is fought. The Dirty Dozen is on screen. The 25th Amendment is ratified. Remember when I talked about Mateo Roach's 7th game and how some fans thought 7 years war should have been accepted? I mentioned one of the articles called it the 7 Days War. Out of curiosity, I had to look up the 7 Days War, and I got the 6-Day War as a result, which was the only reason I was able to answer what is 1967. Cris ended Double Jeopardy winning $29,400. David was in second place at $10,400, and Etienne was in third place at $8,400. The final Jeopardy category is musical theater. And good news for Jeopardy fans because they finally uploaded the final Jeopardy round on its own. The question was, the pair at the center of tumult in this long-running show were originally to be a Jewish girl and a Catholic boy. Oh, show. I was supposed to guess The Sound of Music. The answer was West Side Story. That makes sense. Etienne was the only one to answer correctly, and in fact doubled her score. Cris risked $5,221 and went down to $24,179. He's now at a 12-day total of $380,881, beating Arthur Chu's and Jonathan Fisher's number of wins. Can he beat Seth Wilson and Austin Rogers' records tomorrow?
And as always, thank you for watching.